Welcome to another instance, outing of the Fireside Chat series. Maybe it's a series. I don't know, I've been doing a lot of these lately. This time we have him and I are going to become best friends. He hasn't. I don't think he knows it yet, but it's about to happen. He says it himself. Man of many hats, does a lot of different things. Really kind of has his fingers in a lot of places. But professional wrestler Joe Shoes, member of the major wrestling figure podcast called Crew. Also does the Car Jomez podcast, has a YouTube channel where he eats a bunch of food. Yeah, guy really does a whole bunch of stuff. Not a huge horror fan, but somewhere towards the 2/3 mark, we actually talk about horror movies because he does watch some for his podcast and stuff. But yeah, the guy does an absolute ton of shit, and this was a very, very fun one to do. So I hope you enjoy it. Thanks. Are you just crushing a 2 liter of full strength cherry Coke?
I mean, so what if I am?
You pulled it out so casually.
I just keep it around.
Do you? I guess we could just start talking about soda, because which is a good segue into your YouTube channel.
Ask your friend Dylan about my Coca-Cola habit.
Well, Dylan, we learned earlier, is a little jealous of you and I and our friendship and our budding love affair.
I think Dylan is just jealous of me in general.
Look at you. It's the combination of the aviators and the fucking captain's hat. Just it really does it for me, because I think so we met. Oh, it's almost 3 years ago, right? It'll be 3 years in May or April.
2
It was
years, right?
WrestleCon 21. Oh yeah, 2 years. It was WrestleCon 2021
Yeah.
in Oshkosh. You guys were in town doing the Major Figure podcast live, and then you stuck around for the show. And like, I didn't know. No offense, I didn't know who you were.
No
I
one
am
does.
the worst, but I'm the worst wrestling fan known to man. Like, I had just started working with ACW, so it was like, hey, fucking figure it out. And then in walks this hunk with this just thick mustache and a Hawaiian shirt, and the
I
rest
mean,
is history.
accurate description.
And then from there, I learned you have a YouTube channel where you review food,
Yep.
and it's literally been one of my favorite things. Like, you did the s'mores Pepsi, I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which was something I couldn't get my hands on, so I was like, well, at least I get to watch Shoes do it.
At this point, that wasn't even something I got my hands on. It was one of the major marks got it, and
Mm-hmm.
he was considering selling it, I guess. And before he did, he reached out to me and he was like, "Would you want this?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah,
Fuck yeah.
absolutely." And he's just like, "Give me an address," and I'm sending it. Like, didn't ask me for anything. Well, I was like, "What a guy! What a
Yeah,
gent!"
that's nice. Fuck. Before, and I don't believe our listeners are hip to wrestling lingo. Can you explain what a mark is? I have a loose grasp of what it is, even, and I work in the business.
So a mark, in its proper sense, was a derogatory term for a fan that you could milk money out
Mm-hmm.
of. Nowadays, it's been kind of homogenized into just a fan. It's just another
Mm-hmm.
term for a fan. I don't think at this point there is anything negative in the connotation, yet the denotation. Love my vocabulary words from sophomore year English, Mr. Califano's class. Um, the denotation is a negative real meaning, but the connotation has softened in the years that have followed.
So before this is done, it's just going to become a full-fledged English class podcast.
Yes, I think so. I think we should. I have a very extraneous vocabulary.
I'm tired hearing these long school words. I had to take notes in a meeting today, and I forgot to put an apostrophe in it because I was typing, and someone back and fixed it. And I'm like, "Fucking calm down! I'll clean this shit up later."
So I used to read the dictionary because I liked finding words that I thought would be good in promos. Because
Mm,
if you say words that people are not accustomed to hearing, you have an ability to suck them back in, as well as with your
mhm.
delivery of said words. But if I just go out there and say, "Oh, I'm Joe Shoes, and I'm going to rip someone's head off because I'm the best and you're the worst," and they've heard that 100 times, delivered 100 different ways, but it's all the same. But if I could throw words in there that make people go, "Wait a minute, what the fuck did he just say?" Then they pay closer attention. That's my theory, not scientifically proven, but it's just I look at myself as like a sociologist, and every day is my petri dish.
But that's a really good point, though, and I don't. I want to circle back to the fact that you are a trained professional wrestler and you do practice, um, if that's what you want to fucking call it.
Words, yeah, practice
Yeah,
words.
practice words. But it's an interesting thing is because promos are really difficult to do for anyone, and that's kind of what can set you apart or leave you in the dust as a wrestler. So having an extended vocabulary, and like you said, you say a word and people are like, "What the fuck does that mean?" Then they start to, they'll think of that word later, and then they'll think of you, and then that's actually a really good way to do it. Now, back to the day that we met is when I found out that you did at least a couple matches as the Revolting Blob.
Oh, a few years as Revolting Blob.
Oh, you did a few years. Okay, so if you
Yeah,
don't know what the Revolting Blob is, the principal from Billy Madison, and Shoes was kind enough. I mean, he had it. He didn't do it just for me, but I have a signed picture of him as the Revolting Blob in the magazine cover, hanging in my basement. You walk down the steps, and it's the first picture that you see. I think Dylan even sent you a picture when he came over.
yeah, yeah. It was
Yeah.
great. He's like, "What are you doing on my friend's wall?" I said, "The only place that would be better would be above the toilet bowl."
Well, did he tell you what him and my wife did?
No, but I'm interested now.
I have a life-size Dylan cardboard cutout taped to back of one of my bathroom doors, and it's the bathroom that I shit in every day.
That's
And it just,
terrifying.
I went in there one day and I closed the door and I fucking just called him and I'm like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I just looked. I'm like, "Why are you staring at?" So now every time like, I know he won't listen to this, so I don't even have to apologize and
Exactly. I
tell him
don't
that I
even
love
have to
him.
worry. I could talk so much shit about
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when I told him we were doing this, he did not know that this was a podcast that I did.
him.
Because when him and I met, I was doing a different one,
Okay.
and I don't know if he remembers that night.
He probably doesn't remember a lot of nights.
That's true. It's true. That's what happens when you're a professional,
Oh yeah, something like that.
world famous professional wrestler. Speaking of podcasts, you do Car Jomez.
Yeah, Car Jomez podcast. Been doing it about 7 years now. Going on 7 years.
What's the elevator pitch on that one?
A couple of buddies just talking about everything they like in pop culture. That's it.
Oh, interesting. That's super broad, and I like that.
It's super broad. I have a lot of interest. I different movie. I'm an '80s kid, so we '80s kids grew up with their fingers kind of poking in everything. It's a taste of this, a taste of that, and I never grew out of that. And I always say that when I grew up, I wanted to be everything. So I live my life in an attempt to do everything. So I have a podcast where I can talk about anything I want. If people listen to it, that's great, and I appreciate it. If you don't want to listen to it and you want to listen to something more genre specific to your interest, I also get that. I'm not asking, I'm not begging. It's just something I enjoy doing with one of my best friends. So I mean, mostly movies and TV shows, but we'll talk about music and toys and this little dog from upstairs is just
I
barking
was.
up. It's this tiny little dog that thinks they're 90 pounds.
I thought it
And
was a child screaming for a second,
oof.
and you didn't even flinch. So I'm like, "This is normal. I'll just roll
This
with
is a
this."
normal thing. The dog got to be like 8 pounds. Looks like the old Taco Bell dog.
I was gonna say, I bet you it's a Chihuahua. They're
Yeah, it is.
fucking
It is.
mean dogs.
Yeah.
So because we don't record the video for this for whatever editing purposes, because that's a whole different story. There are hundreds of hours of me just drunk on the internet where we never edited old podcasts. It's a thing. Talking about my balls, it's weird. But behind Joe is I see. Well, there's Brian and Cardona, which shocking.
Brian, yeah, he just lost. He had a spot of prominence here, but I just got a Rick Boogs figure, so I had to move Brian out to the side.
Fucking of course. And then there's Masters of the Universe. There's a Mets picture. I see is it the Rock Bear?
That is the Big Show bear.
Big Show Bear. Okay. I'm like, it's someone with a goatee. Oh, there it is. I couldn't tell if it was a vest. And
Well, it's the Big
Jesus.
Show bear.
When did they make a Big Show Bear? When did they
Uh,
make bears for wrestlers?
2000 and
You should really know this as part of the Major Figure Podcast
I
crew.
want to say maybe around like 2005. There was a
Okay.
bunch of them. They had the Big Show, the Boogeyman. There was a Boogeyman bear. But I always like the Big Show. To say I am a fan is a stretch, but I used to love cheering for the Big Show at live events because I would be the only person doing so, and it would anger the people around me. So I would chant things like BIG show, Big Show, Big Show, Big Show, or I'd sing a song. I would be like, I love the Big Show. I'm his biggest fan, and my name is Joe. And it would drive the people around me insane. So the Big Show just like became my guy.
Oh, holy shit. That's genius, though. And that all ties into you and your reading of the dictionary and just, I don't know, you're super creative. And I love you. And I think we should get an apartment together without a chihuahua upstairs. Uh, I was trying to find a year on those bears. I see that there's they did an Undertaker one also.
Yeah, they did some in the '90s. There's like a Razor Ramon one, and I think a Bret Hart one. So that would have been like I guess like
Mm.
94, 95. But yeah, they brought them back in the mid 2000s, and they did a series of them as well. The Boogeyman one actually looks sick because it's got the paint.
The WWE does so much weird shit for merchandising. Like they and Kiss are kind of the same.
I think WWE learned a lot from Kiss.
Probably. And now Metallica's taking over, unfortunately.
Kiss was the Christopher Columbus of merchandise, really. I mean, they just brought it to levels no one's ever seen before.
Hmm.
And anyone who anyone who had a brain on them couldn't help but try to mimic exactly what they were doing.
Well, and that's a good point. I know Gene Simmons is credited as saying as like, if you could put Kiss on it, we made it.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. Is why not? I think I bought my dad an inflatable Kiss chair one year. He has a Kiss bowling ball.
Yeah.
We almost bought him the Kiss coffin because it doubled as a cooler, but we thought it was a little too dark at the time.
I own a New York Mets urn that I will be put in one day.
That's a lot to unpack right there.
Well, I'm on borrowed time already. I've lived a rough life.
Are you from that area?
I'm originally from Queens, New York.
That makes sense. So what made you go down to the retirement state?
Taxes, weather, way of
Mm,
life, affordability, the people. Like New York sucks.
I was there once, and I am not busting the doors down to go back. Uh,
You know what? I even now being like, don't get me wrong. When I lived there, when I grew up there, I was always born in Queens. I'm gonna die in Queens. That's how this is. That's how life goes. And then, I mean, the real thing that caused me to pick up and move was I had a really bad breakup, and at the time, I also worked with this young lady, and I would have to see her every day, and that became awful. And I was at a point where I couldn't just like quit and get a new job because it was during like the recession of 2009 ish. And I said, fuck it, I'm out. And I just put in my notice, packed up my car, and drove down to Florida. And I said, this is where I live now. And when you do that, and I had never like I've been away from home before, but like I never moved. Like it's not like I went away to college or anything like that. So it's very terrifying when you have, you know, 28 years of friends and memories and relationships that you literally just said goodbye to, and I'm gonna go start anew. But it was just like what I felt like I had to do. In life you have choices, and when you are unhappy with something, you can either um, be miserable and do nothing about it, or you can say, "Fuck it, I'm going to change something." I am of the "fuck it, I'm going to change something" mentality. That's so. It's just what I did, and I ended up after a few. It took a while. It wasn't overnight, but I ended up loving the lifestyle here. So here I am.
Fucking weirdo. I mean, it works with the gimmick, but other than that, I just don't know. You and I are of similar carriage. How you deal with the fucking humidity in summer?
Oh, you don't. You just sweat and die.
That sounds terrible. Is your air conditioning on right now?
No, because I keep it set to like 77.
Well, I can't come visit you. That sounds awful.
Why? It's very comfortable.
My heat is set at 62 right now.
Oh God.
It's also very expensive to pay to heat a house with propane. But
But Hank Hill would approve.
that fuck yeah. He's outside just every time they fill in it, make sure that they do it right.
And Bobby's outside saying, "Marie, I'm doing your favorite thing. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?"
Are they bringing that show back?
I mean, I haven't heard anything.
I thought I
Uh,
heard rumblings, but
Probably, because why not? I love that it's on Hulu and I can just watch it whenever I want.
yeah, I mean they're bringing everything else back, so why not?
It's funny because, and this is just took me off into a tangent, but we're in 2023 now. So about 15, 18 years ago, like when TV series on DVDs became a thing, I was like, oh, because it used to be like if you missed an episode of anything, that was it. It was gone. And then, we got TiVo and that was pretty badass. But to have full series of television shows on DVDs and be able to get the whole series, like it was like amazing. It was expensive and it took up a lot of space, no different from collecting anything else. But now you're telling me that I don't even, all I got to do is click the remote and I have like everything at my fingertips. What a time to be alive.
You know what's the fucking worst is so we had to redo the floor in our basement and we have an IKEA like entertainment center. So it's
Mhm.
two like probably 7 foot tall shelves, 4 feet wide, full of DVDs. And I'm like, fuck it, like these things just sit here, they collect us. I don't know the last time that I actually touched a DVD. Like, let's thin the herd a little bit. And I was talking to my dad, I'm like, so if we donate these, like, what do you do? He goes, well, you get to assess what they are worth. And if the government finds out that you said they were worth too much, they're gonna want money back. And I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Because I'm like, I have, the entire series of Lost. I have every Simpsons that they ever put out on DVD, shit like that. I'm like, I paid Married with Children. That's a great one because I actually just gave it to a buddy who wanted it. Because I'm like,
I
I'm not
just
just
finished
giving
a
this away.
rewatch of Married with Children.
Such a good show.
It's on Hulu. They give you everything.
But so it was $40 a season. And
Yeah.
now I think you can get the entire season, the series for
For like
$20 on DVD if
$25,
you want.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, so now this, there's 7 seasons, do the math. And it's like, if I donate that, it is probably worth $10 total.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like the sunk cost of physical media is just so astro-fucking-nomical. It's, I remember when I still lived with my parents and like putting a TV tuner card in a computer and making my computer a DVR because my parents were too cheap to get us a DVR service. I was like fucking insane. I'm like, I have 800 episodes of The Simpsons just at my fingertips whenever I want it. Same thing you're talking about now with streaming. But like everything it evolves, Netflix turned streaming, blah, 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 blah. And now there's no fucking use for really even a DVR unless you
No.
can't find it somewhere else.
Even now, like you want to watch, you just sign up for Hulu. Look what else you get with Hulu. They have it all.
They make you get ESPN Plus and Disney Plus too.
And it's what a deal.
Well,
They
for
just-
you, obviously.
Season 3 of The Owl House just up on Disney Plus. Do you watch The Owl House, Matt Stein?
No.
Oh my God, what a show.
I don't even know what it is.
So, it's an animated series about a young girl named Luce who feels like she just doesn't fit in. And as she's supposed to go to a summer camp to like become a normal girl, she instead runs away and comes into this portal where she's transported to the Boiling Isles. And now she meets people who do magic and all this weird shit because that's the kind of stuff she's into. And it's like a fantasy animated series, and it is delightful.
What is the name of it?
The Owl House.
Owl. Okay, I was looking at the Outhouse, and I'm like, why? It's a sad TV show.
Oh no, I don't want to watch that. I don't like sad. I'm the herald of happiness.
Wait. 2020
Yeah, that sounds right.
comedy horror.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Disney the Owl House. I'll be dickered. This. All right. I got to keep this tab open because that's sounds like something I might get into. It's
It's
funny
great.
though because we may actually finally talk about horror stuff, but maybe we'll do that later. It's funny that you mentioned Disney Plus. You and Dylan, obviously, that's our middle
Yeah,
connection here.
he
Big
gets he
Disney
gets a
guys.
he gets a check from them. He doesn't let me forget it.
You guys, how was? I saw a picture from Disney. Looked kind of fun. I'm trying slowly but surely to get to the Major Wrestling Figure podcast. That you're wearing a shirt, and that's the whole reason that we got together. So, yeah, you guys did a VIP thing there, I believe.
Yeah, so the company paid for all us employees, which I can call myself now. I'm not just Brian's friend who helps out anymore. But yeah, they put together this VIP tour trip through the Disney World parks. It was, and I'm a Disney guy. I'm an annual pass holder. I go semi regularly, probably once a month, maybe more, sometimes less, whatever. But the VIP tour, like you get a legitimate tour guide, you get a special VIP tour pin, which you only get by going on the tour. And you tell him what you want to do, and he just takes you around and you do it. And you go lightning lane on all the lines for everything you want to do. It is the most incredible thing ever. And I don't think I can ever go back to Disney World as a normal human being after this.
So this was not VIP to the podcast. This was the podcast company going as VIPs, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that's why there was a couple people in the picture I didn't recognize, but shocker, I don't fucking
Yeah,
really
you're
know
gonna
who
have
anyone
like
is.
TTD who does all the art and design work for them, D Freedom who does all the research, Kinnick who's the merchandise guy, me who's like the you know
Sex appeal.
yeah, like I'm the heroic song and dance man of the group.
Yeah, Cardona doesn't have shit on you, by the way.
I don't, it's close. I've definitely got the body,
Right.
but
That's what I'm saying. You're a
but
definite
he's
body guy.
also got a lot more social media followers, so that does count for a lot of
I
things.
think it's just because he yells a lot.
Oh, but I yell too. I love to
Mm,
yell.
you talk in exclamations.
That's true. But I also talk in a very sing-songy way, which I catch
Yes.
myself doing a lot. And I never realized I did it. But my mom brought it up one time and she's like, "Why do you always talk like it's a wrestling interview?" And I said, "I don't understand what you mean." She's like, "You constantly do this thing where your pitch changes based on your syllables." And I didn't realize that that had crossed over to this point in my life, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I obviously only ever known Joe Shoes as Joe Shoes stands before me. So I just thought that was the way you talked. But it's funny to hear that your mom called you out on your bullshit.
She also calls me Shoes.
That's fucking amazing.
I am in my mom's cell phone as Shoes.
I mean, I don't think I've ever called you anything other than Joe Shoes.
Yeah,
Like, I don't even know your real name,
I don't have
and
one.
that's fine. Because even if you told me, it's like I call people the name in which I was introduced to them as.
Yeah, yeah.
So like Dylan is Dylan to me. I don't call him Horsewaffle or any of that shit. And same thing with like I didn't know Cardona as um, Zach Ryder.
Mhm.
So he's Cardona to me. Same thing with Brian. I didn't know him as Kurt Hawkins other than the name. So it's like they refer to him as Hawkins. I call him Brian. It's
Yeah.
like I don't fucking whatever. So regardless if I ever know your real name, you're always Joe Shoes to me.
I have been Shoes since I was 16 years old. It was a nickname I got in high school, which just never went away. And it literally says it in my high school yearbook, in my senior yearbook. It says Shoes. But now it's at the point where I have, younger family members who only know me as Shoes. So if you say Joe is coming over, they have no idea who that is. But if you say, "Yo, we're gonna see Shoes today," they're like, "Yo, that's the motherfucker that watches cartoons with me. Like, this is a great idea. We should get donuts."
Shoes is a giant child if you haven't figured this out. And I think that's why him and I have gotten along very well. Um, so how did you get hooked up with the Major Wrestling Figure guys?
Like, as far as, well, I'm Brian's friend.
So you've known Brian since the before
Uh,
time.
well, I knew Brian. We really we knew of each other because we're from the same area, same indie wrestling scene. We're coming up around the same time, but we didn't know each other. It was really when he got fired from WWE the first time, we were on a lot of indie shows together, and we kind of bonded over the Mets. So him and I would talk about the Mets, and like we had followed each other because like we're both Mets fans, so we talk about the Mets here and there. But it was really after that, like we started seeing each other. Then we started like a Mets text group chat with CPA, and we just became better and better friends as time went on. So I want to say it was after kind of when we thought COVID gave us a false finish at the end of like 2020,
Yeah.
and they were doing a live show in Baltimore. So I had hit up Brian and I was like, "Yo, do you mind if I like come to this show?" Like, and he's like, "Yeah, like if you want to come, you're more than welcome." So I was like, "All right, cool." And I made like a road trip out of it. We just been in the house for months. Like, I just wanted to do something. And I didn't really know Matt. Just really knew Brian. Didn't really know Mark at that point. Obviously we know a lot of the same people, but I'd never really been around the two of them. Um, and I just drove to Baltimore from Florida, made a stop in the Carolinas to see some family I hadn't seen in a while. But I decided to drive rather than fly because there was a toy store in Baltimore that I buy all my He-Man toys from that I wanted to go to while I was up there and pick up some stuff that would have been, too expensive to ship, like play sets and stuff like that. And then it was just while I was there, they were like, "Hey, we need a guy to be Yokozuna. So you're here. So you're Yokozuna." And I'm like, "Okay, great." And then after that was the show in Oshkosh, and I was once again just going to come because I wanted to get out of the house. You know, probably 2 or 3 days before the show, Brian was like, "Hey, bring that Yokozuna costume with you because you're booked now." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then soon after that was around the time the major PBR commercial happened. And everything that I've done with them has just been mistake and happenstance, kind of right place, right time. Because even the PBR commercial, like I'm not supposed to be in. I just got a call like, "Hey, come over. We're filming this thing. Come say hello." Because it was, 15 minutes from my house. So, Dylan and Brian and Mark and Matt and okay, but like that's just how I dress. So I had a mustache at the time because this girl I was dating had seen an old picture of me as a mustache with a mustache from when I was doing the stepdad films, and she thought it looked kind of groovy. So she was like, "I would really like if you grew a mustache." So I grew the mustache, and the flamingo shirt and the shorts and the cap, like that's how I dress in real life. So I didn't show up looking to impress anyone. That I just showed up to say hello to my friends. And then when I walked in the door, the people from PBR, I looked at Brian and were like, "Who the fuck is that? And can we put him in?" And he's like, "Oh, that's Shoes." And yes.
I feel like you could grow a mustache overnight.
No, it's not that. It's not quite that fast, but it comes back. Like I had an accident not long ago while trimming and shaving, where the whole thing needed to come off,
Ooh.
and it was back relatively soon.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's nice. It's thick. It's full.
I always thought I looked stupid with a mustache. Like
No.
for years, I hated it, hated it, hated it, hated it. And now we're going on, almost 2 years where I've had this thing pretty much nonstop, and I feel ridiculous without it now.
It fits the captain gimmick very well. Like if I walk down a pier to go on a fishing trip and it was you on the boat, I'd be like, we're in good hands. We're gonna be
Yeah,
fine.
I trust him. He has a mustache.
You got a trustworthy face too. I do. I didn't want to skip over the fact that you talked about these stepdad movies.
Yes, my penis has been on film and inside people on film.
Wait, what?
I've done low budget porn. Like I said, when I was a
Awesome.
kid, I wanted to
Didn't know
be
that.
everything. So I decided to try to be everything. One of those things included doing porn.
I have questions.
I have answers.
Okay, and once again, I know I asked you beforehand. I'm like, is there anything that's off? And you're like, no, fuck it. But how old were you?
The first time I did porn.
Yeah, I think you and I are roughly the same age. So I'm just, the
So
time
I
is
would so the first adult themed thing I did. I was probably about 18. Now I was a NCAA athlete and I wasn't allowed to have a job, but this was cash and under the table.
Right, right.
So I was like, yeah, sign me up for that shit. And then, but really, like my quasi porn career didn't begin until I was already in my 30s. I had just showed up to a casual blowbang one time. And after what was considered a good performance by the people who were hosting said event, I was invited back and then introduced to other people within the industry who said I could also do a good job with them. And yeah, for a while I had a nice little side gig.
Huh. Huh. I it's fucking incredible. I did not know that. Oh wow. What did what sport did you do in college?
I was a scholarship soccer player.
Oh shit. What position?
I was a goalie. At one
Oh,
point,
me
I
too.
was one of the reserves for the under 17 national team.
Oh shit. Yeah, I wasn't that good. I never made it out of high school as a soccer player, but
Hmm.
to this day, fucking love soccer. So
Yeah, I spent 2 weeks in Colorado back when I was a young buck, and went to like a tryout camp. Never, you know, got to play in a real game or anything like that, or was even on a real roster. But I got to go to like a practice camp with the
damn.
Nationals.
How did you I'm assuming you watched wrestling as a kid, so you
Oh
obviously
yeah,
were an athlete. So there's so much to cover. You are a bloomin' onion with
yeah.
just
It's
extra
true.
awesome.
It's true because I am battered and deep fried. So
There's a lot of you. There's layers. You're delicious. You're pretty to look at.
there's layers and roles to work through when you talk to the superstars.
So okay. So you watched wrestling as a kid.
Yeah,
If you so you must have gone back to train after you were done with soccer, correct?
yeah. Watched it as a kid. I'm like an '80s kid. So like I guess it would be called the golden age, or
Mhm.
the Hogan, Macho Man, early WrestleManias, early Royal Rumbles. Like that's my jam. I'm pretty much out of it completely by the new generation. Um, the Hasbro, like I was a big LJN figure collector.
Mhm.
Hasbro's not so much. When the Hasbro's came out, I was like, the fuck are these tiny little things? Like they can't even use these as weapons to throw your little brother. Like King Kong Bundy, you could bludgeon a fucking guy with. Can't do that with this tiny ass demolition smash. It was like false advertising. The name is Smash. You barely fucking put a dent in your wood paneling.
It's a good point. You should take note, Vince.
Yeah, but I played sports my entire life, baseball, soccer, and then even just like casual like neighborhood football games and stuff like that. Football was probably my best sport, but I never played it in an organized fashion, and I'm also short, so that wasn't really going to go very far. But when I got to college, like I kind of found my niche with soccer, got a scholarship. But when I got to college, I was consumed with wrestling at that point. I had gotten the bite, and I was just like back into it big on the Attitude Era and like WrestleMania 14. Like my brother had gotten into it. My brother's a few years younger, so like him and like the kids he was in school with like started watching wrestling again and playing the Nintendo 64 games at the time. So it was like WCW, NWO, like World Tour or whatever. And so he had gotten into it, and we watched WrestleMania 14, Shawn versus Austin. I was like, this is fucking awesome, and like I was hooked, like re-hooked all over again, And by the time I got to college, like I was one track mind. I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a wrestler. I want to be a wrestler. And then my freshman year, I was going to get redshirted, and I was like, fuck this, man. I am not running 9,000 miles a week to not play. This is bullshit. I'm going to quit school and become a world famous professional wrestler. So half of that statement happened. I did quit school. So I did not become a world famous professional wrestler.
There's still time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like right now I'm probably more over than I ever was.
More than likely. But that's just because you are who you are.
Well, the thing too was it was a bad time. Like timing is everything in anything in life. And as the Attitude Era was dying out, I got into the business probably around 2001. I started doing commentary and announcing on indie shows, and then by the time I started training, like the invasion happened, killed the momentum wrestling has, and it slowly started dying out. So whereas indie shows in my area in the Northeast would draw like 800, 900,000 people each month, all of a sudden that went down to 200. And
Oh
then
shit.
WWE buys out WCW and ECW. So now there's no place for the guys on the indies to go work and get off the indies so other people could come in and take those top spots on the indies. And just that was like the whole business. So now you had these guys who, whether they were good or great or not, but like would have moved on. There was just nowhere for people to work. And companies started shutting down left and right. Shows were drawing like shit at at some point in the mid 2000s, like a good show was like 150 people in New Jersey. New York still has a lot of regulation from the state athletic commission, so they just weren't even remotely profitable ventures to run in New York at that point because you couldn't draw fucking shit to the show. So it was just really horrible timing. It was a double whammy of nowhere to work and nowhere to get hired and nowhere to be seen. Plus, we didn't have all these wonderful social media toys that we have now to even promote yourself.
So how do you obviously still watch religiously, or
No,
oh, you don't watch anymore? Okay.
I am. I don't want to say I hate wrestling because I feel like that trivializes like how much wrestling has meant to like my life because it obviously has played a big role in my life. But I'm just completely uninterested by it, kind of indifferent to it. It's a combination of I don't enjoy the product. I didn't want to be that guy who watches or felt forced to watch just because it's something I've always done, and then just go on Twitter and complain about how much I hate it. Like I don't want to be that guy. There's so much stuff in life that I enjoy and that I like. I'd rather spend my time doing those things rather than forcing myself to do something I don't like. But in addition to that, I think one of the biggest things is just that I'm an adult. In a lot of situations, I look at these guys rightly or wrongly as peers, but more so than that, they don't feel larger than life to me anymore. So much of the appeal when you're a kid is like, oh my God, look how big this guy is. Look at the size of this guy, or look what this guy can do. And these kinds of things just I'm not impressed by that. Maybe if I still had a kid and I can kind of view it through their eyes, I'd feel differently about it, but I don't have kids. So just for me as like a grown up, like I just don't have that interest anymore.
Fair enough. Like I have such a hard time keeping up with any of it. Um, and I've tried for the sake of, working for the company.
Mhm.
But like I didn't realize that Raw's 30th anniversary was on Monday until it was over.
Yeah, like I keep informed by, obviously I still talk to a lot of people within wrestling who are friends or people in my real life who like honestly some my all my group of best friends are my best friends because we all used to watch wrestling together. And that hasn't changed and they all still watch wrestling together. Just without me because I'm just like, no guys, I'm good. Except for Royal Rumble. Like we all live in different parts of the country, so we'll do like a Zoom call or something for Royal Rumble and all get together. And WrestleMania, we kind of do the same. When we were kids, I used to host WrestleMania parties at my house where you had to come dressed like a wrestler. So like I
That's
wouldn't let
awesome.
you in if you weren't in costume. That's why like there's old pictures of me dressed up like Headbanger Mosh or Steve Blackman. All the luminaries of the time.
Yeah. That's fucking awesome. But I think it's so much to do with like the time and when you got into it is because I think Attitude Era was roughly when I started early on and then got out right around high school because I figured out what boobs feel like.
They're
But
great.
oh, they're fucking incredible.
Boobs are the best.
Yeah, top notch, top
They are
notch.
like the Honey Nut Cheerios of body parts.
I'm not gonna fault you for picking Honey Nut Cheerios with that one, but teach their own. I had s'mores Lucky Charms for the first time and it changed my life.
I just heard about this. We were talking about this on my podcast this week, and I was like, "Oh, I got to go track this down now."
Yeah, they're pretty fucking incredible. I went through an entire box in like 3 days, which if I wasn't rounding the corner to 40 and like understood that if I just eat a whole box, it's not gonna go well for me, I would have eaten the whole thing in one sitting.
Oh, I would just say fuck it and just deal with the consequences later.
I used to have a Milwaukee Brewers full-sized edible like helmet that you could eat out of. They used
Yeah,
to
yeah.
sell nachos in them, and I would
Oh,
use that
believe
as
me,
a
I
cereal
know.
bowl because I could fit a whole box of cereal in it. So I just fucking go to town. I think my wife threw the helmet out though. So
Some balls on Mrs. Matt Stein. When I come up there, when I come to Oshkosh, Wisconsin in April,
well, I live north of there.
well, I'm coming to ACW April 15th, and I'm going to fuck up some shit, and I'm going to yell at your wife for throwing away your nacho helmet.
And all my concert shirts.
And all your concert shirts.
Thank you. I'm gonna make a nice little list. Just like yell at
Yes,
her for this for me, please.
like a scroll, an obnoxious scroll.
I mean, that pretty much sums up my life. I was gonna get around to mentioning that you are coming to con. I heard. So thank you. Looking forward to hanging out. I told
I thought
Dylan
it
just
was
to
a
put you in
rib.
my room.
I
What?
thought it was. I thought he was like, "Yo, you want to do this?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Okay, make sure you get there." And then I hit him up today. I was like, "Hey, is this real?" And he's like,
Well, he
"Yeah,
didn't tell
it's."
me you were booked. He just told me that you were coming.
Oh, then
I don't know. I don't think we have a whole lot of ACW crossover with this podcast, but I could be wrong. Um, in
okay, then
the
I'm gonna be in the battle royal
Okay, and that's why I assume you're in the battle royal. That's fucking awesome though. As Shoes of the Revolting Blob.
as Captain Joe Shoes,
Damn it.
International Man of Mystery.
I'm excited for you to eat the chicken tenders at this fucking place.
Really, chicken tenders?
The
This year?
chicken tenders are so goddamn good. Like every year that we put food out for our roster and the guests and all that, and pizza and chicken tenders, and the chicken tenders were fucking incredible. They were so good that like the next day we told the guy like we want chicken tenders next year, but more of them, and everyone kept
Yes.
asking about chicken tenders. It's incredible.
Oh man, now I'm extra excited.
Yeah, and it's you're coming in Friday.
I believe so.
Are you flying into Appleton or Milwaukee?
That one I got to look at.
Okay. Well, I was gonna let me know. Because if I could time it out, I could probably just scoop you up because I gotta drive past that airport on the way to Oshkosh.
Which one?
Save Appleton.
Okay,
I live like 20 minutes north of Appleton. Oshkosh is about 40 minutes south, so I gotta go right past it.
gotcha.
Not a big deal, but we'll figure that out when the time comes. Well, that's fucking cool. I'm actually a little more. I thought you were just coming to hang out because I know Brian's on. I don't know
No,
who else that you would know, but
they need. Brian wasn't really moving tickets, so I heard they needed a little star
he had
power
to
here.
bring in the big guns.
Yeah.
Start selling this bad boy out.
Yeah, look at that. Oh my god.
I like the
A
bottom
lot
of
of
that shirt a
muscles
lot.
on this guy. Which one?
The boozing with the toys shirt.
Yeah, there's that, and you know what? You can't even get this anymore because it was on. Wow, which one of those websites? The one where Al Snow owns the T-shirt site, Collar and Elbow.
Oh,
So
okay.
it was on Collar and Elbow, which they don't deal with anymore. But it is just very comfortable, soft. It's not like one of those shirts that is like a size too small than it says. Like it fits, and
I've
that's all
noticed
I
a
want
lot
from a
of
shirt.
guys print on like the cheapest shirts they can get their hands on. So this is something that blows my mind. So when we do band shirts, I always insist on doing them on either Next Level or the Bella Canvas shirts because
Mhm.
that's what I like to wear. So I'm willing to spend a little, make a little less so that we can have a nice product. And then
Agreed.
you got these guys that are like, "Hey, I got this fucking Gildan shirt that they made with sandpaper
Yeah,
that's
it's
printed on
so
one
rough,
color,
and I know.
$30." And I'm like, it couldn't cost you more than 4 to print this thing. But I guess if people are paying for it, so I can appreciate a nice shirt when you take it off later or in the next 2 minutes. Just let me. I'm curious what the shirt. There we go. Didn't even take 2 minutes.
Nope.
Oh, don't hurt yourself. If I had some strips, you might have to take that. I really wish I was recording the fucking video now. Oh, this is
I'm
just.
trying to read the label.
It looks like it might be a canvas one. It's the longer, or it's the like jerseys, the Hanes jerseys or some shit.
See, the problem is when I go to read it, it goes back in the dark,
You could just wait till later and
and
message
I
me.
have sunglasses. Oh, maybe that's because I have sunglasses on.
Holy shit!
Yeah, that's what it was. Tultex.
Oh, Teltex. Oh, I have a Teltex shirt on right now. Except mine's long sleeve, but Teltex are fucking quality, and it's really hard to find them. I'm thoroughly impressed that you well, we're not done. We're not out of the woods yet, but okay. The headphones stayed on. The hat is on, and then now the shirt's just over the brim of the hat. So this is how we're finishing this one out.
I feel like
There it is.
I feel like Jim Carrey being
Coming out
born
of
out
the
of a
rhino's ass.
rhinoceros ass. Yeah.
I had a dog, and his name was Bingo. Get some oxygen.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
What else did Joe Shoes do? We talked about Car Let's talk about
Oh my
Magic
God. Yeah.
Figures.
So I got my Car Jomez podcast, comes out every Thursday, anywhere you get podcasts. Also on YouTube now. That was new for 2023. We're trying with that. Mixed results, obviously, but crumbs make crumb cake, as they say.
Yep.
Called the Captain's Log podcast once a month on the Major Pod Network Patreon. Then I'm a member of the Internet Baseball Writers Association of America, so I write about baseball. I have a blog about baseball. YouTube.com/Joe Shoes, where I open He-Man toys or eat a bunch of horrible fast foods that are bad for you but good for me.
I mean,
I will put myself at risk. That way you do not have to sacrifice your health. For you people with families and children who need to live longer, I can make that sacrifice. So I'm willing. I just like to go headlong and headstrong and headless into things, if needs be.
I do recall it was for one of the podcast lives that you tried to do the Joe's Crab Shack food challenge.
It was Jimmy's Famous Seafood.
That's what. Yeah. Jimmy's did. I know it didn't end well.
No, it did not.
You had what they call a reversal.
Yes.
Did you train for this at all? Like I love watching people eat just a shit ton of food. I've tried doing it myself, but I can't. So I need to get inside the man's head that tried.
I trained for it in the sense that I actively strategized for it. I tried watching some videos on YouTube and thought it was something that I had a chance to do. I thought I would. I made a critical error very early on. Because this is a live show, I'm trying to give people visuals. That's the wrestler in me. You want to give visuals. So I put down the first quarter of the sandwich very easily. Now, if you don't know what we're talking about, it was called the Seafood UFO from Jimmy's Famous Seafood. I believe it's about 7 pounds altogether. And it's like a pound of crab cakes, a dozen jumbo shrimp, a pound of shrimp salad, lettuce, tomato on this giant, thick-ass kind of pita roll type thing. Number one, I wasn't prepared for how thick that pita was. I was assuming it was going to be like a regular sandwich roll. It was not. But my biggest mistake was I ate the first quarter very quickly. Then I decided I needed to make it visual for the people there. And around the sandwich was this giant ring of about a pound of French fries. So to make people see a big gap on the plate, on the serving dish, I was pounding all those French fries in that area so that when I would hold it up, they would see this giant cutout on the plate. Horrible, egregious error in judgment. I should have just stuck to the sandwich because as time would go on, now the sandwich is sitting out there. It's cooling off. The shrimp salad is just soaking into everything. So it became very gross. At first, when it was hot and fresh, it was fucking delicious. But then that shrimp salad just cooled everything off, got on everything. The mayonnaise is on fucking everything, and it became disgusting. So instead of drinking water, I needed like soda just to clear the taste, get something different in my mouth. So they bring me over a 2-liter of like Sierra Mist, and I'm just fucking chugging, like, because I need to cleanse my mouth from this.
There's so many red flags in your process here.
That was a good idea. I stand by the soda being a good idea.
The
It was
amount you drank was the bad idea.
no, it was just the French fries is where I went wrong.
I mean, yeah, we could find a couple ways that you went wrong.
But I wish I would have. I got through probably about nearly half of the entire sandwich, but I wouldn't have finished regardless. I mean, it's a lot of fucking food,
Is there
but
a time limit?
yeah, you have an hour. I could have come a lot closer though, but I under no circumstance do I think I would have finished.
So I have the description of the sandwich. Apparently, you can purchase one.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
like
purchase it
150 bucks.
165, and they will overnight it. It is a pound of crab cakes, 12 freshly breaded shrimp, 12 freshly shucked and breaded oysters, 1 pound of jumbo shrimp salad, and their signature bay sauce sandwiched between a homemade UFO bun, served with French fries. This thing was fucking insane. Like, I think if you had like 3, like, if we were both pretty hungry, I feel like you and I could probably have taken it down. Um, but for one person to do this alone seems absolutely insane. But like for 2, 3 people, that would be a fun meal.
Yeah, I think I have. I don't think any non-professional or competitive eater has ever done it.
No, and when you look at like what food challenges used to be, like I think like 4 pounds used to be a lot. Now everything's 7 and 8. It's like, how do
Mhm.
people eat this much fucking food?
Yo, like even the hot dog contest on the 4th of July, how do we keep upping the ante? Like, isn't there a point where like the human body literally just cannot take any more processed meat?
You'd think so, but it's the same with like professional athletes, and it's like there's no way anyone's gonna be able to beat X, you know, award or
But
whatever,
but
and then they
at
always
some
do.
point, the human body, the human shoulder can only handle throwing a
Hmm.
fastball so fast.
That's true.
Now, maybe we haven't quite reached the zenith of how fast that is, but
Mm,
there's going to come a point that it just breaks. Like you
yes.
cannot throw it any harder.
Hmm. Well, that's a good point. Eventually, everything's going to collapse, and I cannot wait to see that. So, like we've talked about absolutely everything. We're 56 minutes in. We should talk about horror movies.
Yeah, would you like that? I mean, that's what
I
I'm
think
here
we
for, right?
probably should. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's how. And I know you're not a huge horror fan, so we'll do literally anything horror adjacent. I know you said you've been watching quite a bit here and there from your Card Gomez partner.
Yeah. So the whole deal with that is I've never been a horror film fan, and
Just
even
a
as a kid,
horror.
I am a horror, just not a film fan. Um, but even as a kid, like like I grew up in like the era for Freddy Krueger and Jason and overnight Halloween slumber parties, and it was just never my thing. Like I like comedies, I like to laugh, I like to make people laugh, I like to figure out what makes people laugh, and that's just the way I operate. So when on my podcast, my buddy Gomez, who I do the show with, he's a big horror film, like since birth, basically. And every year we do a thing called 6 Weeks of Horror, and he picks horror movies that I have to watch. And now what we started last year was for Christmas season, we do Slaying and Slaying, where we pair a horror movie with an adjacent theme, regular family style Christmas movie. So I've become more familiar with the horror genre over the past few years, but it is definitely not my favorite.
Did you? Well, it might have not at the time. You might not have been right, but did you watch Violent Night this year?
I did watch Violent Night,
And
and I loved Violent Night. I'm
let's
happy
say,
to hear they're making part 2. I saw today.
yep, and it's obviously more action than horror, but home
Exactly.
invasion.
Yeah, it comes off as like almost a commando, like a Schwarzenegger commando movie, only with Santa Claus as the protagonist.
Yeah, the best description I heard was it was Die Hard meets Home Alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so back to your 6 weeks of sluts or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So what did you guys do that in October, or did you just do it
Yeah,
randomly?
we do it as a build up to Halloween every year.
Okay, so what did you watch this year,
Oh,
if you
geez.
remember? I mean, at least one of them. Should talk about something.
I'd have to look.
Oh man,
That's so I have the world's worst memory.
it
Um,
happens. While you're looking that up, have you ever watched Thanksgiving?
yes, I have
It's
watched Thanksgiving.
one of the fucking best movies ever.
It was one of it was one of these movies that was very early on in the Netflix streaming era. So when Netflix was first getting their streaming services up and running, it was like
Hmm.
one of these things that, because it wasn't really like really well known stuff at the beginning, but then it became, what it is now. But Thanksgiving was one of those things that everybody was just watching because like they had access
Yep.
to it.
Yep.
And even that, I was like, this is fucking horrible, but I know I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a stretch of time. Amazon Prime has quite a lot of like really bad movies. Like we watched Killer Sofa. There's Jack versus Lanterns. That's a great one.
Jack
Um,
versus Lanterns.
yeah, there's two of them. The first one's not on there. It's Lumber versus Jack, and then Jack versus
Okay.
Lanterns, which was at least as Halloween season. But it is so. Um, it was like the guy would have like a thought, and then he would change his mind, and then he would
Hmm.
never work the two together for 80 minutes. It was like a homeless man's fever dream for 80 minutes. And it was fucking incredible because it's just so obnoxious. So shit like that, like Dead Alive is a really good one. That's like a Peter
Okay.
Jackson movie before he did Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
British horror, but it's like at one point there's a living room full of zombies and the guy's just holding the underside of a lawnmower and he just walks through them. And it's just fucking blood and gore. But it's just super over the top. Really, Bad Taste is another like hyper gory 80s movie, but they're
Mhm.
generally pretty fucking funny, so they're enjoyable. Might be something that is up your alley. I don't know.
Yeah, so some of the stuff we watched for 6 weeks of horror this year, for Christmas season, we just watched Tree Venge, which is a 15-minute short about some
Oh,
killer
I heard
Christmas
about this.
trees.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
you can watch the whole thing on YouTube if
Good.
you really want to get it. It's an official creator guy put it up, so it's not like you're stealing money from this guy. But for 15 minutes or whatever it is, they packed a lot into those 15 minutes. Some really inventive kills, and just the story was pretty damn good. I watched Sleepaway Camp this year. It was the first time I'd ever seen Sleepaway Camp, and I have heard of Sleepaway Camp because this girl I used to date apparently looked like Angela from Sleepaway Camp. So my cousin used to make fun of me all the time whenever he'd see a photo of us, and he'd be like, "Oh, what are you and Angela from Sleepaway Camp doing tonight?" And I'd be like, I nothing. I just thought it was a girl from a horror movie. I wasn't smartened up to the finish of this movie until I watched it, and I was like, "What in the fuck is happening in the world?"
So there's a horror convention in Chicago. There's two of them. There's Days of the Dead and then Flashback. And generally I will go to those. The first time I went, she was there. Felissa Ross was there. She fucking loves to party. And it's like, you haven't done anything since Sleepaway Camp, and now you're riding on that, and she just shows up and gets fucking trashed.
Good for her.
Oh, absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. Like I met Coolio at one of those too. It's a different one before he died. Rest in peace. But
Oh, pour it out for the Coolio.
yeah, but it's always weird to see like these people who did like one movie that was huge in the 80s or has a cult following, and like that's all that they're doing is just riding that. And I mean, good, like you said, good for them. But
Yeah.
it's okay. So you watch Sleepaway Camp and Tree Venge.
Yeah, I watched Little Shop of Horrors for the first time.
Oh, okay.
I was familiar with it as a kid. The songs had, kind of slipped into the pop culture, so I knew of it. And obviously Rick Moranis was a big star and a big piece of my childhood, but I just had never watched Little Shop of Horrors. And to me, that was great. I know it's, more of a comedy musical, but it's got its horror overtones, obviously. But man, even the practical effects still look, they look good to me. I was still into it. So I really enjoyed that. Watched Brain Damage. I know that's,
Ooh. Yeah.
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 Because last year we watched, what was the other one the director did first with the tumor Basket Case.
Yep. Okay.
So Basket Case we watched last year, and then this most recent year we watched Brain Damage, which is fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially for being 80s, like the fact that that shit was getting made. It's been a long time since I've seen Brain Damage.
Yeah, it's so wild because I often feel like my mind doesn't work in very creative, inventive ways. Like I operate well in situations where I need to be quick and witty, and I feel like I do okay with that. But if, like you say, here's a pad of paper and a pen, go write me a script, I feel like I'd be there for like 9 hours. Just And to think, the fact that someone is able to think of something as horrible as Basket Case and then have the passion behind it to see it through, to flesh it out, and to make it a reality is, number one, it's wildly impressive. I'm absolutely astounded that a human being would think of this on their own without like being tortured or punished or something.
Well,
And then
and to your point, like it's an '80s movie, so there wasn't. It's not like today where it's like everyone has a camera in their pocket or can get their hands on high end
yes,
equipment for no fucking
well,
like for
but
cheap.
that's the thing, especially when you look at it in the moment, you're sitting there saying, where did this, like, you needed money to go get a camera, like the fact that, like, if you think about your extended family, maybe one person owned a camcorder when you were in the 1980s. Like, I remember, like, I had an uncle that owned a camcorder, and it was like you felt like he was the richest dude in town. To be able to make a movie and then have it amass some kind of cult following and still be relevant to the genre and the people who follow that genre 35, 40 years later is incredible.
Well, and he's still got shit coming out too.
Yeah, like
Like
still
like
doing shit.
Basket Case 3, that's a movie.
Oh boy.
It came out in '91, but Frankenhooker, that's one.
Hmm.
Slash to the Knife was his first. Bad Biology. Herschel Gordon Lewis, the Godfather of Gore, and then the Chasing Banksy one, which whatever. Interesting. So okay, so you're clearly okay with like comedy horror.
Yeah, like I find like the wit in it, and I, I don't like gore for the sake of gore, and for whatever reason, that's kind of been my the way I envision horror is just like killing and blood and gore for the sake of it. And it's not necessarily true. It's just for whatever reason that's how I picture horror movies, and because of that, my opinions are skewed, and I just never been one to seek it out.
Well, and you're not wrong. Like there was early thousands, and still I think to today you have the Saws and the Hostels, and those were like the biggest series at the time, and they focused solely on how fucking disgusting can we make this.
Well, not even that, but we watched Saw a few years ago for 6 weeks of horror.
Mhm.
Never something I saw. I watched the first one and I was like, this is fucking incredible. It was so smart, and like didn't see the end coming at all. And I love suspense. I love, kind of mysteries and true crime stuff. And Saw like really had me like glued to the TV, not looking at my phone, just really into the story. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me where the fucking killer was going to come from. So that caught the shit out of me. And I walked out, I finished with that. Like, that was fucking great, man.
But the caveat here is you said you saw one.
Yes.
You
I
didn't
haven't,
see the next 8.
the next 11. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to say, because I just rewatched them all in December, because I had a bunch of time off of work. And I think 4 is garbage. 5, 6, and 7, the story all ties in, but those are where it's like, how elaborate and how fucked up can we make this thing? Like, I think in 7, Chester Bennington dies in it. He's part of like this white the skinhead like group or some shit, and he's in a car that if he doesn't get out of by like stabbing himself in the chest by reaching forward, the tires are spinning and it drops on a chick's head and then flies and then hits another guy who's pinned up against the wall and then rips some dude's like fucking arms off. So it's like so batshit crazy and hyper violent and just over the top. And that's yeah. So like it got very, very off the rails. Like Spiral is the newest one with Chris Rock is really fucking good. It goes a little back towards what the first one was, while still like keeping some of the really sadistic violence and shit. But
Mm-hmm.
if you never watch any other one, especially since you're not a horror fan, like having seen one, great. They take such a hard left turn after that one.
Yeah, it's one of these things where I sometimes I do come away genuinely surprised and impressed by whatever I'm watching. But a lot of times it's me just like flipping out over what I had just seen
Yeah.
because my buddy is such like he's a genuine horror fan, so he knows all about that stuff. That's akin to asking me about He-Man. Like it's just his
True.
thing, and it's what has happened though. It's become kind of one of the most look forward to pieces of the year for the people who listen to my show because they love the reactions. They love especially when I don't like something. Um, I guess the way I explain it is a little different than most people would. I just get very animated and very passionate about trying to make my point. So, and people say all the time, it's like that's a lot of we'll put up votes like for people to vote like what they want us to watch. And a lot of times people pick like the worst shit just because they want to hear the reactions at it.
Oh, you mean like how people voted to make me watch the Twilight series for this podcast?
That's not what's wrong with that. I love love. And Twilight is in effect about love.
They're so fucking stalkery,
Yes.
cheesy.
That's how you know it's that forever kind of love.
No, Marky Mark and Fear, that's forever love.
Oh yeah.
That's a movie that I've heard random references to, and I really need to go back and watch because they're making a TV show.
Yeah.
Fucking of course. That's fucking awesome. Well, yeah, now I'm gonna have to go back and catch up on your 6 weeks of sluts or whatever the hell you call it.
Yeah. Even right now, like there's no big releases really coming out, until Ant-Man for the most part. So we let the people vote on what like we should review, and we gave them the options of like childhood favorites that we hadn't seen in a while, or kind of young coming of age movies that we hadn't seen in a while, or like obscure sequels for movies that like don't or shouldn't have sequels. Of course, they vote for the sequels because they want to hear fucked up reactions. So like this week we watched Brady Bunch in the White House, where Mike Brady gets to become president.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Oh yeah, apparently it is a thing. We watched Showgirls 2 because we didn't have enough at Showgirls 1 apparently. And Showgirls 2 might be one of the worst fucking movies that has ever existed.
I think there was a period of time where if the first was successful, they're like, well, we might as well just make another one. That was like American Psycho, probably not a movie you've ever seen. They made a second one with Mila Kunis, and it's just like a completely different story, even though the first one was based on a book and it was like wrapped up with the first one. Like you said, Brady Bunch. Like, do we really need Mike Brady to be the president? Does Showgirls need a second? Was anyone from the first one in Showgirls too?
No. So yes, but no. The main character of Showgirls 2 was a bit role in Showgirls 1. And apparently somehow she got the rights to the name or whatever and wrote, directed, starred, edited, like did everything in this movie herself and should not have been trusted to do anything because all of it was bad. Even the beginning of the movie, I think, so Showgirls 1 was like kind of like 95. Showgirls 2, I think, was 2011. So why 20 years after the fact do we need a fucking Showgirls sequel? I will never know.
The same reason that we got Dumb and Dumber 2 like 30 years later or whatever the fuck it was.
But I mean, even with this, like it's so poorly done, poorly edited. It looks horrible. It looks grainy. You think you're watching like a 1995 porn movie with the way it opens and stuff. Just like, what the fuck is happening here? So if you can find it, I recommend you punish yourself by watching Showgirls 2. If you're the type of person who genuinely hates themselves, this is for you.
The about is probably my favorite part. Penny Slot, a stripper from Las Vegas, tries to become a star dancer on a dance television show.
Yeah, she does.
Which is funny. It had a budget of $30,000. But like you said, it was this Renee Riffle, who plays Helga, who's in the first one. The director on this one probably put up all the money for it. She probably was she was probably out of money, needed something to do, and was like, I'll just make Showgirls 2. It's guaranteed. It's fucking called Pennies from Heaven.
So originally when I heard the title, I thought it was because the way I would have done the movie. Pennies from Heaven. every girl is named Penny, and they're coming from heaven. So it's multiple pennies from. I didn't realize it's Penny apostrophe S, as in Penny is from heaven.
Yeah.
What a disappointment!
What, and to your point, what should have been a fleet of strippers named Penny who were dancing at a club called Heaven.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I hate that the apostrophe exists and the apostrophe is needed to explain an already horrible title. Let's make Showgirls 3 shoes from Florida, and it's just a fleet of shoes from Florida that are strippers that are trying to make it on the scene.
I'm not gonna lie, I like this idea.
I'm an idea guy. Give me something and we'll run with it.
So I always thought my next act in life was going to be as a mystery novelist. I'm a big fan of the show Castle with
Okay.
Nathan Fillion.
Yep.
So if you've never seen it, he's a mystery novelist who wants to research his next book, so he gets permission from the mayor to basically shadow the NYPD. And wonderfulness ensues over the span of 8 seasons. He's my favorite television character of all time, is Richard Castle. So I came up with an idea that I wanted to turn this into an indie wrestling gimmick, but I didn't want to wrestle. So I needed a gimmick that would allow me to not wrestle. Hence, I'm a wrestling mystery novelist, and I get booked on shows based on my friendship with the mayor. But during the meet and greet, a murder occurs at every show I'm at. And I have until intermission to solve the murder. And then in the first match, I wrestle the murderer and bring him to justice. That way I never have to lose, because I never want, who would want to lose? Like, it's wrestling. I understand it's entertainment, but I still don't want to lose. So justice needs to be served. So I would, extract vengeance on the murderer by beating him and then going back to the gimmick table to do my book signings, because I would have very real books that I will write with wrestling titles like On the Ropes or, Wrestling with Murder, stuff like that. But then I could also be a detective named Gumshoes, maybe.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of ways we can go with this.
The next time we have a Suits meeting, I'm going to pitch this for a show, and I can almost already hear the silence.
Oh, of course. I
I
explained
wanna-
this to Dylan.
Oh, of course you did. Now he's going to fucking yell at me. That's the dumbest fucking thing ever.
That's what he told me.
No, it's not. I think you get a murder mystery show and a wrestling show in one. I mean,
and the chicken fingers. Who
and
goes home unhappy after that?
The commies do.
Oh,
because they don't get chicken fingers. I actually he got pissed at me once. I don't think he actually got mad, but he told me I was dumb. I pitched that a single person would win the tag team titles and then like defend them for a while, and he's like, no. I'm like, come on, it'd be fucking hilarious. And I got shut down. This is why they don't let me pitch ideas that often. And just like do the computer stuff. It's fine. So I'm going back to movies with horrible sequels. I'm looking at a list of it's the Rotten Tomatoes list of movies with sequels that never should have been. There are 4 police academies on this list,
which is bullshit because the first 5 are great.
Yeah, Citizens on Patrol is number 6. Assignment at Miami Beach, number 12. Under Siege is 13. Mission to Moscow is number 14.
Mission to Moscow is pretty bad.
Is it? I don't think I've ever seen past 3, maybe. I should change that. I do have to change that.
One of the last apartments I moved into, I didn't have the cable hooked up right away, so I went to Walmart and bought, in the discount DVD section, it was $5. It was all the first 5 Police Academy movies. It was stupendous. Got that and some pizza rolls and had a real night.
Shit, burnt the fuck out of your mouth. Still recovering from the skin hanging from the roof of your mouth, I'm sure.
But I love that because I love running my tongue over it and just like feeling it sway in the circling. Oh,
I hate how much I agree with you because the pain is just so awful.
Sometimes you want to feel the pain just to know you're still alive. And that's why you watch Showgirls too. This is how I know we're going to become best friends, because that is something I say quite often. Someone texted me today and he's like, oh, are you like, I was supposed to go hang out with him. He doesn't listen to this, it's fine. And I was like, I don't feel good. My wife was gone all weekend. I just wanted to sit on the couch. And he goes, oh, are you feeling any better? And I said, yeah. I said, for a second, I thought it was going to be the big one.
She goes, really? And I was like, I actually hoped it was the big one so that I could release myself from this mortal coil. And he just goes, what? Are you okay? And I'm like, it's a fucking joke. Like, too dark. Like, sometimes you gotta embrace the darkness to remember why you're alive.
Yeah, there was one time I was in Vegas and I thought I was having a heart attack because I drank 4 Sparks. So that was like it was like an energy drink but with booze.
Mm-hmm.
So my heart rate got up real high and I was like, "Oh my god, like I think
I,
this is it. Like I
I,
think I'm dying."
yeah, I think they took the energy drink out of Sparks, but
Yes.
back in the day, I was not quite 21 yet when they came out, but I remember hearing similar stories to yours.
Yeah, so I thought this was it, but I like in my head I was like, "Well, if I'm going out, I'm going to do it my way." So I was in the hotel, I was at the MGM Grand. I walked down to the front desk wearing boxer shorts, cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat. And I said, I need the porn channel authorized on my room's TV. They said, okay. I went back to my room. I didn't tell them, oh, I think I'm dying. Instead, I just realized I just wanted the porn channel authorized. That's how I wanted to go out because I had already made my peace with it. So I go back to the room and I just lay like a starfish on the bed and I just waited to die while I watched that one movie where Janine Lindemulder had sex with a guy on film for the first time. And I just had that on and I just laid there and waited to die. Unfortunately, my friends came in about a half hour later and saw me like this with the porn going and they're like, what in the fuck is happening right now? And I said, guys, don't worry about it. Just waiting to die. And still here. So
So for anyone listening who isn't familiar, Janine Lindemeyer was the female on the cover of the Blink-182 Enemy of the State album
yes,
cover. So that's how she got popularized to pop culture. Also took a lot of dick on film. Starred the Pirates 1 and 2 films, which they're not bad. Pretty good production quality on a pirate-themed pornography.
Left arm is dead, hangs lifeless at your side. Lean on the crutch. Left foot turn in. Tilt your head and glare with your good eye. Now crack your mouth and drool. Now growl. Growl.
Ah, you! Not bad, you! Not bad! All right!
you know what though? Missionary gets a bad rap because it's the go-to, but let me tell you something.
You gotta
It's
start
the
somewhere.
go-to. It's the go-to for a fucking reason.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
people still get tacos at Taco Bell. We don't just get Crunchwrap Supremes. The classics are the classics for a goddamn reason. The original chicken sandwich at Burger King is a fucking superstar for a goddamn reason, just like Missionary.
Not that I don't want to continue to talk about sexual positions, but you said chicken sandwich. I don't know the last time I've had just a regular chicken sandwich from Burger King. The last time I had there was a Chick-King.
Okay.
And I remember the Chick-King being really fucking good. So are you telling me that the OG chicken sandwich is better than a Chick-King?
The OG chicken sandwich is one of the all-time great fast food items to have ever existed. When it came out, it didn't come out until like the 80s. It was a game changer because McDonald's didn't have a chicken sandwich at that time. So when Burger King came out with their chicken sandwich, that was fucking, like fucking American ingenuity at its finest. And it's super long on this long bun. Like, what even part of the chicken is this? I'll tell you, the best fucking part.
So the Burger King chicken sandwich debuted in 1979. I believe so. Apparently, they just announced that they are releasing.
They have multiple. Yeah, they got the what are they doing? The Italian chicken again?
Yep.
Then there's the French. Are they doing the French one again?
Original chicken sandwich, the Mexican original chicken sandwich, and the Italian.
Oh, that's the new one. Yeah. So the Italian is like a club. They got threw some tomatoes on there and shit. Or whatever. That's not really all that's. But the Mexican one
that one
sounds delightful. Yeah, that's going to be up on my YouTube channel hopefully by this coming Monday.
So the Mexican one is a gooey cheese infused with ghost peppers and a heaping handful of crispy fried jalapenos. Ooh.
Yeah.
Depending on now, I don't want to invite myself on, but when you're in town, we should probably do. There's a new chicken place that opened in Appleton called Slim's Chicken.
Oh,
I'm gonna go. I wanted to go today, and I got stuck at work late. may go tomorrow or Friday, but it sounds fucking incredible. It just opened last Monday.
I would love to. When I went to Oshkosh the first time a couple years ago, people were like, "Oh, you have to have Culver's." I'd never had Culver's
You've
before.
never had Culver's. Well, did they start opening up down by you now?
They did.
Okay.
So the one closest to me is actually not that far, but it's in a direction I never go, so I didn't
Gotcha.
know it was there. So I did go. I finally did go. I've only been there once so far, but it was like a pot roast sandwich, and it was pretty damn good.
So, not that I'm going to tell you fucked up, but why didn't you get a butter burger?
Because I've never seen pot roast on a fast food menu before. So just
Fair enough.
I like these ideas that like I can get something that's so weird. Like I would
Yep.
need to go to the Golden Corral if I wanted real pot roast.
Ours just reopened, so we can go there.
Oh yeah, like I have Golden Corral here, but like when I'm saying, you know what, I need a good home cooked meal, that's where I go. Culver's, it's like they open their arms and they say, "Hey, baby boy, come in here. We got something for you." And they catch me in that warm embrace, and I was like, "God damn, Culver's, you really make a guy feel good about themselves." This pot roast and even their fries, I thought were pretty damn good. Definitely above average fries there. So it's a place I want to go back to, and there's so many things on their menu. So there's so many options, so many videos I can make. I just have to get up and go do it. But man,
Right.
the options seem endless. But tell me, a butter burger, so just a
Yeah.
regular basic burger at Culver's, that's where I need to be.
Well, you got to get I usually get like a butter burger deluxe because
Okay.
I like the lettuce, the tomato, and all the shit on it. Like I love a gimmick sandwich. So my favorite burger place that I'm sure people have heard me talk about at length on this podcast is Kuma's in Chicago. So
Okay.
there's there used to be like 6 of them and they closed a couple up, but there's the original one, which is north of downtown, Schaumburg, which is just a suburbs, and then one on the south side. But it's all named after metal bands. So like they have it was on Food Network thing, like the best cheeseburger I've ever had or something. There was a dude who I believe he would fly from Florida to Chicago, take a cab to Kuma's, eat, get back on a plane and fly home.
That's
But
fun.
yeah, so they every month they have like and they started doing macaroni and cheese too, but they have like every month they have a new burger of the month depending on like what bands are going to be in town. They'll do like specific. So like a friend of ours band from Green Bay called Choke, they were putting out their album and they ended up doing like a listening party at a place down the street from Kuma's, and Kuma's made them a burger for the weekend. I was like, that's fucking awesome. But the I'm trying to buy time here to get the menu because they do one called the Slayer, and the final ingredient is just anger.
Oh my
So,
god. I'd buy a bottle of that.
It's but it's on a bed of fries. It's not it's like it's a burger patty, chorizo chili, cheese, scallions, on a bed of fries and anger. And it's fucking incredible. But like every November they do this, it's called the Sleep Burger. It's a turkey burger with like tempura fried stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, and like a fried basil leaf, I think.
Oh man.
All in a pretzel bun. And it's so fucking good. Like there's been more than one occasion. Chicago's from where I live roughly 3 hours.
Okay.
I have gone there to eat and just come back home. Like a buddy and I try to do it once every couple months. We'll just drive down there, eat, and drive back. Yeah, it's fucking incredible. So you mentioned earlier McDonald's, and it was when we started talking about Burger King, and it's like, how do you feel about the fact that McDonald's adds next to nothing to their menu? Like all these other places are like, you got the Ghost Pepper Whopper, the fucking Crunchwrap Supreme, the 3 chicken sandwiches, and then McDonald's is just like, here's the same 6 things we've had for 40 years.
Yeah, and even when they do something new, it's been kind of underwhelming. They were doing those like celebrity value meals for a while, but it was like, oh, Jay Baldwin likes a double cheeseburger with fries.
Yep.
Like, what?
Even when they did the menu hack shit, it was like, well, we'll just
And that was
sell
gonna
you
be
the
my
items,
next thing.
you put them together.
And that's like the whole point of that is because I want my eyes to bulge out of my head at the fucking obnoxiousness of the whole thing.
Mhm.
The land, sea, and air. I get a fucking McChicken. I get a Big Mac and a fucking fillet of fish. I don't want a fillet of fish under regular circumstances, but
Right.
put it in the middle of a giant goddamn stack of sandwiches, and now I'm intrigued. And you motherfuckers, McDonald's, if you're listening, sons of bitches, you sons of bitches, robbed me of the opportunity to hold a massive sandwich. Dickheads.
That's, well, the one thing that upset me the most is I couldn't go into the app and order a McGangbang.
Yes.
Like I gotta order it separately and put it together. That's horse shit.
Like, and then like I wanted to see the box. I wanted to see how
Mhm.
big this box is. I wanted to see this tower of fucking meats and fish and cheeses in front of me. And what do? They give me fucking. Like, I've been doing this for years, you assholes.
You ate a meat mountain from Arby's, right?
Yes.
How was it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you still get it?
I believe you can get it if your Arby's is willing to make it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I don't think it's an on-menu item, but if you order it, I do believe they will make it.
Do you like spicy food?
I like spicy when it's flavorful. I don't like hot for the sake of hot.
Did you do
But
the Diablo Dare?
I did the Diablo Dare.
Okay.
I did both of them. There was two sandwiches, right? One was a chicken and
roast beef.
And a roast beef. I did both of them before I had to hit the milkshake.
Oh, how'd that go?
Very good. I actually found them both to be very good.
Did you do the fries too?
I don't believe I did the fries.
Okay.
I think I just did the sandwiches.
It just like the fries, it was more of the same. Like I ended up doing like streaming it on Twitch even with the milkshake and all that shit. And I agree, they were delicious. I think that. Did you prefer the roast beef to the chicken?
Oh, that was close. I do like their roast beef. I want to say in the moment, I'd have to go back and watch because now it's a while ago now. I want to say I was chicken over the roast beef though.
I feel like the chicken just works better with everything that was on the sandwich, but the Arby's roast beef is fucking incredible. Like there was when I was trying to be less mass of a human being. Yeah, and you're driving around or wherever, you could just get a pound of roast beef without a bun and just eat that shit. And it's fucking incredible. It's so good. Roast beef and cheddar, classic sandwich of our time.
When they do these sandwiches, a lot of times when they do like a beef version and a chicken version, the chicken does seem to play into the condiments better. Like Wendy's just did the fried mozzarella chicken sandwich, but they had a burger as well. But my God, the chicken one is what a fucking menu item.
The New York just came out new, by the way.
Oh, really?
So one other question, and then we'll get back to it. Nintendo had a game that came with it primarily. What was the name of it?
The original Nintendo?
Yeah. I don't want to say it because I don't want to try to skew you. And I know you don't. His brother's name was Luigi.
Mario Brothers.
Mario. Okay. I have my friends in Brooklyn.
Say Mario? Fuck that
I say
shit.
Mario, yeah. But that's...
Oh, what losers. Your fucking accents. Middle America.
Okay, well, I was about to tell you about the Culver's curd burger that they have, and now you're fucking just throwing hate speech.
I'm sorry, the turd burger?
Curd burger.
Oh.
I kind of wish it was a turd burger. But basically, they had one of their butter burgers, and then there was a fried cheese curd patty that sits on top.
So that was like the gimmick with this Wendy's. They had like a block of fried mozzarella on top, and it was like, oh my God, where the fuck have you been my entire life?
I mean, it's the little shit like that becomes so genius. Like all you did was take, mozzarella sticks, one of the mozzarella, and then fucking put it on a sandwich, and it's like it's the basic ingenuity. That's what I love about food. Is like you could take two things that are normal and just put them together, and you have something fucking incredible. Like pizza rolls,
dynamite
roll. You're burning your mouth and having a party.
I'll tell you what. When I was a kid, my mom used to make me like an English muffin, but like as a little pizza. So she would put like a spoonful of sauce and a slice of.
Talk dirty.
And I used to think my mom was the greatest fucking cook that ever existed because like who else could have come up with this? Like it just seemed like, I'm sorry, you were able to create what in that kitchen? Like, what are you, some kind of fucking goddamn sorcerer? And it turns out
It's
my mom's an awful cook.
yeah, when you get into your 30s and realize how like
Yeah, I
fucking
was like, wow, like my mom's pasta is very bland, but you know what? Those fucking English muffins back in the day were fucking
just
bangers.
fucking. But it's like pizza bagels. It's like all we did was take a bagel, put pizza
I'm sorry,
toppings,
a what?
a, a bagel, not a bagel.
It's
It's
a
the fuck.
bagel.
It's a bagel.
A bagel.
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 Like, why are there no seagulls at the bay?
Bagel.
Because then they'd be bagels.
What? There's
You get it?
obviously.
Bagels.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. It just wasn't funny. Shoes. Um, I have some friends in Kansas, and years and years ago, I went down there and we were drinking or whatever, and when we all got super drunk, they're all like, "Say the word bag." I'm like bag, and they're like, "It's bag." It's the
Bag.
short. It's the short A. Oh, see, you say it like we do. In Kansas, it's like bag, long A's. Like
Bag.
it would be bagel, not bagel.
No, it's bagel.
Bagel,
Bagel.
bagel,
Bagel.
short A, bagel. This is
No,
riveting podcasting, by the
you're,
way.
you're saying bagel.
No. They say bagel.
Okay, well,
Bagel.
they're terrible people.
Yeah, I don't understand the elongating of the A.
Listen, as someone who has the authority to judge others, they're terrible people.
I think when we first started this conversation, I did say bagel because I became self-conscious of how I say bagel, and I didn't want you to slut shame me.
To judge me, yeah,
Yeah, I
but
mean, you judged pretty hard.
yeah, they
Rightfully
call
so.
me out on the streets. They call me the jester of judging, and it's a title I don't take lightly. So I make sure to utilize the weapons in my tool belt whenever possible.
And I don't blame you. I live by the credo of judge early, judge often.
Yeah, I actually follow the Bundy family credo of
Hooters,
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 yum
yum,
yum
yum,
yum,
yum. Hooters, Hooters,
Hooters,
Hooters on
Hooters on a girl that's
a
dumb.
dumb. Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was dumb, if it was girl or woman. But yeah, I do want to get a no ma'am shirt. I don't think I could get away with wearing it without getting yelled at. But here we
One of
go.
my first gimmicks when I first started training with Johnny Rods was he put me with this other guy who had been there a little bit longer than me. And that guy was like a no ma'am guy. So we were called the no ma'am maulers.
That's awesome.
And our gear was no ma'am t shirts and jeans.
High waisted jeans.
No.
No, damn it. Thought you were onto something there.
Yeah. But I wore like the dad New Balance sneakers.
Oh yeah, those are real popular, and it's because I'm aging, but like
Yeah. And they're very comfortable.
that's what I hear. I
Yeah.
heard they finally made them in black.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was a recent development in New Balance technology.
Game changer.
Yeah. I know. Like my tattoo artist is out of the blues. Like he's like, I got these New Balances. I'm like, fuck, man, you're old.
Yeah.
Like I still wear Pumas and Vans, and then don't know why my knees hurt the next day.
Ha!
Yeah, it's not from sucking dick.
I just got new Pumas that were they did a Masters of the Universe collection.
Oh,
So
of
I got
course.
the Skeletors.
How much do those set you back?
Like $100.
Oh, that's not that bad. You're not as bad with shoes as Weimer, are you?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, they did.
I've never been a sneakerhead. Like every now and then something would come out that I'd be like, "Ooh, those are really cool." But like,
I'm sorry, which ones did you get? The Skeletor ones?
yes,
See, these aren't bad.
they were the only ones I felt like could actually be worn with real people clothing.
I mean, the He-Man ones aren't bad either if you're into like oranges and reds. The Battle Cat ones, the yellow markings over the green is a
Yeah.
little odd, but it's the same markings on all the shoes. The Skeletor, the green and the purple works with your Hawaiian shirts that you always wear. It's not like the Vans did some Simpsons shoes and they were just really fucking obnoxious. Metallica's doing Vans; they're just fucking obnoxious. So these are the first time that I've seen like branded shoes that make sense. And I wouldn't make like if I saw them, I wouldn't even realize that they were branded He-Man shoes or Masters of the Universe. Sorry. Huh. Interesting. And they're still available. I expected these to have sold out instantly. Oh my God, I just realized that they say Maya, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
What does the fucking He-Man want to say? Oh, I have the power. And what about the Battle Cat? Nothing.
Says
Tiger Stripes.
roar.
Yeah, you'd think I got rar. Awesome. Well, Mr. Joe Shoes, go ahead and wrap this up so I can pee and yell at my wife for throwing away my things. But I do appreciate your time. Thanks for coming to hang out. Now you have to do this is where you find all of the things that are Joe Shoes.
You guys can follow me anywhere on social media, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at The Joe Shoes. You can check out my YouTube. Please subscribe or don't. You know what? I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do. But it's youtube.com/Joe Shoes. ProWrestlingTees.com/Joe Shoes if you'd like to financially support me. Believe me, all that money just goes back into all the projects that I am a part of, like the YouTube channel, or like my podcast, the Car Jomez Podcast, which comes out every Thursday anywhere you get podcasts, or at youtube.com/@CarJomezPod. So check all that stuff out, and or just follow me. Follow me on social media, and that way you'll get the links for everything because I post incessantly about it.
Awesome. Shoes, I appreciate it. If you want to watch them wrestle live, Oshkosh, Wisconsin,
Yes.
April 15th.
April 15th.
Tickets are on sale.
Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I will become I assume this winning this battle royal comes with a giant novelty check.
It does.
And a crown, because I will become in that moment the overlord of Oshkosh, and then I'll push Dylan Postel down a flight of stairs and become your new hero.
I'm all for that. And yes, you are correct. It's a novelty check for $5,000 that you then have to carry around for a year.
I will take it directly to the car dealership.
And then they'll look at you and be like, this isn't fucking real.
I'd be like, I demand an automobile, sir.
I demand satisfaction. Awesome. Well, yeah. If you're in the area, you do want to see Shoes Wrestle, acwwisconsin.com for tickets. They're still currently available. They're selling fast though, like hotcakes. Going to be another sellout. So Shoes is raising the roof. He's doing his crowd taunts, presumably to the Chihuahua upstairs, or not.
The Big Show Bear. He loves it.
Fuck yeah. Awesome. Joe Shoes, once again, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you have a terrific evening, and we will talk soon.
Absolutely.
Later, bud.